So, welcome to episode 5 of Building a Creative Life.
This week has been insane. So I
Right?
I read through a little bit of it, and I sort of looked at where it wanted to do the breaks and how it was going to set up. And I was like, okay, so, and then I was like, all right, so tomorrow I'm going to go in and actually edit it. And then my sister-in-law asked if I could watch my niece, and my son is like, that's the most fun thing ever because they're the same age.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, but he had like swim practice and whatever. So she came over and watched him do swim practice, but they didn't like get to play very much because he was occupied.
Right.
So then we had to have an actual play date so they could actually play the following day. So then I didn't get anything done that day either. Mm-hmm. Which, not that I'm blaming that. I'm not. It's not. It's like,
no, but
it's just like,
this is what we want, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
This is, oh, wow. My niece is over and it's always a good time. So let's do this. Right. But knowing that I have this and it will fit in my life.
Yes.
Because in the end, we're doing this so you could have those play days.
Right. I was like, because I was getting ready this morning because I was like, okay, so we're going to do this. And I can't say I finished editing the podcast. So what do I need to say that I finished? And then I went back and looked at like what I said I was going to do. And I had only done like half of it. And so then I was like, well, I should try and finish that. So then I went in and was like, okay, I was going to do those 2 new pages about the tarot cards.
Yeah.
And then 2 pages on the holiday. And I had done the holiday on Saturday. So that was done.
Right.
And so I just needed to update these 2 templates for the tarot cards. And my in between when we had swim practice this morning and when my kid had speech, I had a little bit of time. So I sat down and it only took me actually like maybe 10 to 15 minutes to do it. And I'm like, I could have finished that days ago, but
you didn't.
But I didn't, and I did it now because I was like, "There's a deadline." So this works.
Yes. I was thinking about, we were going to talk today about planning out and budgeting out the creative life.
Mm-hmm.
But why don't we stick a pin in that and talk about this, because we're talking about it, about what happens, like organizing that time and how to strike the balance between living the life and procrastinating.
Right.
Because that's a big problem for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be flexible, but I also don't want to procrastinate so that stuff doesn't get done.
Hey, no. Is that cool? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Because I am a multi-passionate person.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of different stuff. And I've always liked that. But I've also always been autistic. And just having that executive dysfunction, like I know exactly what I want to do, but there's so many moving parts. Yes. And if I pick one, I'm going to forget about this and this and this. And this is the whole conversation I'm having in my head.
Mm-hmm.
The first part of this, it's too long. It's going to take too long.
I don't have time for this. What? I have to be somewhere 4 hours from now.
That. Exactly that. Exactly.
I better start preparing right now for this thing that's going to happen at the end of the day.
Right. That is exactly it. So I had to, the thing that is working for me is that I measure it in songs.
Okay.
Because I'm constantly listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say I wanted to make my pork belly porkins. That's an hour and a half job. I know it's an hour and a half job. And getting up and doing this is like, I don't want to do it. It's going to take too long. No, it's going to take an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to take an hour and a half of your constant attention. It's going to take about 30 minutes total to get the meat. Actually, the night before, get up, put the meat in the fridge. That's a small win. We're done with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning, you get up, you take it out the package, you put it in a Ziploc bag, put your marinade in, zip it up, put it in the refrigerator, clean everything, wash your hands. Another small win. That took a song, right? Matter of fact, it took all of Tiny Tim's Loving in the like dancing in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight. That song, because I have weird musical taste.
No such thing.
And Baby I by Ariana Grande was the one that got the meat out of the freezer into the refrigerator. And then we had a New Jersey dance melody featuring Cookie Kawai to get it out the marinade and on the pan and get the temperature to 480 and in there. And then we have timers and we walk away. And that was the same thing with my creative life. Remember when we talked about our accountability last week? I was saying I have these templates that I'm putting together for the vehicle stat blocks that I'm doing, which I did. I did them all, by the way. I did do that. And because I know it's a process. And what I do is I put on my music and I do until the song ends and then I stop. It's like what is the one with the tomato timer? The
Oh, Pomodoros.
it's like a pomodoro, but
Yeah,
with
but with
like
music.
music.
Yeah.
Yes. And the music assures me that I'm not wasting time or it's not going to take too long.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the songs I'm using. These are my hyperfixation songs. I know these songs backward and forward. I can literally gauge my time. And now that I've associated it with a song, I know exactly how long it's going to do it. So it reduces the procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The second big thing is it's too complicated and I don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the site, my word, this site has been
I mean, when you talk about it, my brain goes, there's too many numbers and too many letters, and I don't know what's happening. I'm already confused.
right.
And I'm not even the one doing it.
Yeah. There's a lot there. Number one, the first thing I had to do was to see if the site still existed because I have a lot of site space available from an old job
Mm-hmm.
and they generously gave it to me. So, okay, does
Okay.
it still work?
All right.
Yes. Is it updated? No, I have to update the PHP. I have to update the WordPress install and all of that. Ended up killing the site. It just it the podcast software plugin I had in there was so old. A lot of the stuff was so old. And then the theme seed stuff, and I couldn't get back. I used all my little dirty tricks to get back in there, and then tried removing it at all so I can get a blank one, so I get a blank WordPress install, so I can put a new theme on it. None of that worked. I literally had to go in there. It's like, yeah, can you nuke this for me? And they were like, yes, we can do that. And then they were like, oh, they're working on that tool right now. Can I make a ticket for you? I'm like, yes, you can. And I go off and do other things. Okay,
Yep.
they tell me that the new site is up. So now I have to find all these plugins again. I got to find new plugins. And that I said that to I've been really obsessed with this Drake Kendrick Lamar
Oh.
beef.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm familiar with both artists. Well, I'm familiar with Kendrick Lamar. I became interested in him when I heard he won a Pulitzer.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I
That was
was
really
like,
cool.
I was like, what does an award-winning Pulitzer Prize-winning rapper sound like? Because it doesn't sound weird. It doesn't
No.
sound off. Because Pulitzer is about your prose, and rap is nothing if it isn't prose. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know what historical looks like. I know what regional sounds like. But what is that? What is Pulitzer Prize? And I found out, and I'm glad I did. And then I started watching this whole Drake thing, and I'm old, and I remember Degrassi. I remember him in that wheelchair. And so when he came out on the music scene, I'm like, ain't that dude in the wheelchair? It shows you how old I am. And the fact that he is Canadian and he had not um, come here adopting a style, right? He
Mm-hmm.
didn't adopt one authentically. He didn't come in and be part of the culture. He just was taking things out of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? for street cred, for credibility, for social proof. And he's a creep, right?
He does seem to be, yeah.
Yeah. And so with the way the story and all the details that came out, I'm like, it got ugly. I was just fascinated, but I hadn't heard the songs in order.
Mm.
So I made a playlist called The Beef, the Great Rap Beef of 2024, because this thing is epic. They've got HBCU marching bands playing They're Not Gus. I'm like, this is a moment. This is a historical moment.
Mhm.
And then on Juneteenth, Kendrick Lamar did a whole concert and played Not Like Us 5 times. Imagine sitting up there and you've got Bloods and Crips, you've got all kinds of factions together. And so I took the entire thing and I'm playing it from beginning to end. And while I was doing that, I was going and pulling all these plugins and testing them out.
Mm.
It I finished the job before I finished the music.
Mm.
And so I didn't feel like I was wasting time or it was too much time.
Mhm.
And then the whole kerfluffle with uploading them because I don't have the space I thought I did and I didn't have the tools I thought I did. But I got an NSFTP, put it on the server. I'm trying to figure out how to pull it up on the site. And that's where I am. But everything, it's just small. It's figuring out all the parts and then small wins getting there.
Mhm.
That said, that game that I'm working on,
Mhm.
we're about 50% done inside of
Cool.
3 weeks
That's
because
exciting.
we're taking the parts and filling those out
Mhm.
to the point where we can play test and everything else gets smoothed out from there. So yeah, it always seems like so much.
Mhm.
And it always seems like so much compared to our mundane everything everyday chores. And it always seems so much. But on the other hand, a little change of perspective, a little tilt of the lens, I found that in combining it with small wins,
Mhm.
actually I've been getting so much done. And I think that's what makes this so crazy is the fact that everything looks like it's getting to be done. Everything does. My art came in for my spoons are stabby. The art came in
Yay.
for that too. And that was crazy because I had to hire an artist and then he had to be pulled out of town for an
Mhm.
emergency. I had to find somebody else and they pulled through. I'm like,
Nice.
nice. It's amazing
It's
when you,
nice when it all comes together, and it's sort of like,
it was just wonderful when it all comes together. And I think part of that is just kind of like trying to find ways creatively to push out those little negs like, oh, it's too long, or it takes too much, or it's too
mhm.
much time. What are your negs that you find that you face all the time?
Yeah, kind of the same. I everything is going to take longer than I think it's going to take. Like I get a lot of things going and then it feels like nothing's complete, but then like I started making a list so that we could like I could talk to you about like what I did this week.
Right.
And it's a long list. Like I've got a lot of stuff. Like nothing's done, but like I did a lot of things.
Yeah, nothing's completed, but you did
Nothing
do a
is
lot of stuff.
complete, but there are a lot of things in progress that are, nearish to complete.
Share your small wins, Jen.
Okay, so I on Sunday I went to the science museum with my kid, and last Sunday I didn't have anything to do in the maker space,
Right.
and I was disappointed because usually I make stickers
Oh,
that I'm going to put in my book boxes and stuff like that. But I haven't sold any book boxes recently, so I have an excess of stickers currently, and I was like, I don't need to spend an hour making stickers. Um, I ended up actually using the time while my kid was doing something. Actually, he was building something in the makerspace. I borrowed one of their laptops and I went on Google Drive on Google Docs, and I just worked on my book.
Right.
So this week I was like, I had started thinking about book boxes
Mm-hmm.
for the new book, because the book box that I made for the old book was, I mean, I thought it was pretty popular. So I was going to do one for the new book, and I was trying to figure out what goes in them. And so um, I was like, I already kind of overplayed the coffee thing, I think, on the first one, even though she does work in the cafe again in the second book. So I was like, all right, what else is there? And so the bad guys in the book have amulets that have like a sigil on it that prevents magic from working on them, because otherwise, how does a hunter ever defeat a witch if
Right.
they can use magic against them? So
Mm-hmm.
we have anti-magic sigil on the one guy wears it on a necklace, and then the other one has it on a charm bracelet. So I spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to draw out my own sigil and figure out like what I wanted the sigil to look like. And I have a book on sigils, and so I was going around and like,
Mm-hmm.
taking the letters apart and trying to build something new. And then, very much like when I decided to use the EMF for their, because it already exists, I was like, somebody's already got, so this exists somewhere. So I went in and I Googled and I looked at stuff, and I came across hexafoils.
Yeah.
Um, and they're really cool looking, and they're like little flowers, sort of, and they're made of circles, and there's 6 points, and they go all the way back to the Bronze Age. But then they were also used in medieval Europe, explicitly against witches, like to
Mm.
protect your house from witches. Like they have people carved them in the beams in their house and in their barns and stuff. And they found them in churches and things. But then they also have found them in colonial America, in barns and houses, and also on gravestones and stuff,
Oh.
as a protection symbol. And again, there's reference to it being a protection against witches and evil spirits. And so I was like, all right, cool, because my story is based on, they're surviving from colonial times, and they're surviving from all of these different things. And so maybe the hunter line goes all the way back the same way that the witch line goes all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I took a hexafoil and I put it in Canva, and then I messed with it, and I made like a slightly different shape related to the hexafoil and expanded it out.
Right.
And then I started pronouncing it incorrectly, and I kept saying hexen foil, and then I was like, oh wait, but hexen means witch in German, so my symbol is now called a hexen foil. Um, but
Did you wrap it in Reynolds wrap?
so, but I printed. I took it to the Science Museum and I printed it. I used a laser cutter thingy,
Like the
and I
glow
printed
forge?
them on little wooden. I made little wooden discs. One of the people that works there is on my beta team, and she and I was showing her, and she was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And she's like, "Ooh, can you make it double sided?" And I was like, "I don't know. You're the side. Like you guys like teach me how to make it double sided."
I
So
can if you teach me how.
right, so we started working on making them double sided. This is the closest we got. It's got a little bit like
It's a little
the edge
off.
isn't right over there. So next week we got to do another round. But it smells really good.
Yes.
It's like smells like this is from Sunday, and it still smells like burning wood.
That is the best smell. I don't care. It's
Yeah,
just that dying campfire smell.
right. That is the smell.
Oh.
Okay, so the other thing that I was going to tell you about is, so I've been working on my revision for my betas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, now I need to figure out when it's actually going to be done, because if I don't set deadlines. So I'm going to send it in 2 weeks. On the 15th, I'm going to send it back to my editor. She's going to have it for 2 weeks probably. So then when she gets it back, I'm going to try. I feel like formatting is not going to take me that long this time, because I know what I'm doing from having done it last time.
Right.
And I let Scrivener do most of it, and then
Oh.
the paperback one doesn't have to be formatted right now, because I'm not sending out paperback arcs. I'm only sending out ebook arcs, and
Right.
so that's pretty easy. So I think I'm going to send out my e-arcs on August 2nd.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
and then I'm going out of town the second week of August.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really want to get it. That's one of my major reasons for trying to get it done by the second, is that I don't want it looming over me on the trip.
Yes.
um,
Because I'm trying to get all my stuff done. I'm trying to get 4 decks of cards sent for manufacture on the 10th because from
okay.
the 15th to the 17th, I'm in Longview. I'm visiting my father-in-law.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That'll be fun. So I'm going to try and get the EARCs done by the second, and then people will have those for a while. I signed up to do a couple of promos, which I have never done before.
Oh, wow.
So next week on the 12th, I'm going to participate in a Cozy Books sale. So I'm going to drop my book to 99 cents, which I have never done before. For this is the stuff your Kindle kind of thing.
All right.
Next Friday. And then 2 weeks after that, there's a Stuff Your Kindle thing that is witchy book themed. But they want it to be free. So this is where I get to experiment because I am not in Kindle's, what's it called? Select.
Yeah.
So I'm not in Kindle Unlimited. So I can't participate in the like freebie days that they let you have.
Mm-hmm.
So my understanding is that to get my book to be free through KDP, I have to set it to free on my draft to digital so that it's free on all the other places.
Right.
And then I have to contact KDP and ask them to price match it and then cross my fingers that they do.
Yeah. You have to go into the get the number from inside the KDP in the area where you find your author rank.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're going to go find that customer service number and call them from there.
Right.
And then stay on the line while they do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to use those boomer tactics with this.
I will wait.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. No,
nope, I'm good.
Set aside time for this.
Right. I am prepared.
Yes.
So hopefully we get that happening, and then that'll be my freebie day on the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And then my arcs come out the following week. So maybe like people that find it through the freebie will be excited and want to read the arcs.
Right.
I've been following this person that runs this one on Facebook for about a year now, and she seems to. It's a pretty tight ship.
Okay.
It's pretty well organized. So this is my first one, so we'll see. But I'm hoping to grow. I need more reviews. I need more audience. I want more people to know that the book exists before the second one comes out.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing that. And an area of growth for me is to how to get more engagement anywhere. So because right now the only engagement I'm getting is the people that did follow through and sign up for beta reading are leaving me feedback because they have to get to the next step.
I think you're one of those folks who has the kind of engagement, well, the kind of fans that would really do well as a street team.
See, I thought that, and yet, so I had people sign up to be on my street team through my social media and then through my newsletter, and I had a street team of like 15 people, and then in the last couple of months, as I've been getting closer on this book, I started sending them a few more emails, and every time you send an email, you lose people. So I'm down to 8, which is whatever. But so I sent an email, or I sent out the cover reveal, and I was like, all right, guys, here's your time. This is why I have a street team. Can you help me out with this cover reveal? Here are some graphics you can use. Here's the blurb. We're all going to post on Monday and then interact, and I'm going to do a giveaway with a free ebook and a Amazon gift card, which is another thing I hadn't really ever done before. And I was like, okay, so just share it wherever, and don't forget to tag me so I know that you shared it.
Right.
And as far as I don't know if they did it and didn't tag me or what, but I didn't see any except the ones I posted. And then some of my followers on Instagram did share my posts to their stories. But it didn't take off in any kind of way. Like I've had posts that I wasn't giving anything away that did better than this. And I did a little reveal graphic with a moving curtain thing on TikTok, and some of the things that I've been doing tarot readings did better than that. I was like, people love the cover. When I post the cover in Facebook, and I talk about it to people, they're all like, "Oh, it's so amazing, it's so gorgeous," but nobody wants to share it. Nobody wants to like it doesn't. I'm like, ah.
I don't know what the answer to that is because I'm not a communicator on the social medias, which is crazy because I love being active on them. I just
Yeah,
haven't found a thing that actually works for me other than telling folks, "Hey, hey, I'm doing a thing."
right.
But my issue is that I am so incredibly inconsistent.
Mm.
I am so inconsistent. And what kills me is that despite being inconsistent, my folks are still rocking with me. I still have about 600 people solid on my mailing list. And not a
Mhm.
lot of people drop off when I finally decide to, hey, I'm talking to you again after 2 months of
Yeah.
being missing. That's, oh my goodness. And it's not like I don't have a lot of things to say. It is feeding that deep down insecurity about I don't I don't like being in the spotlight,
Hmm.
but I do enjoy doing things that will put me in the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
So I need to get over that.
Yeah.
And so I am also using this podcast to I'm using this podcast as accountability on my other podcast because I am determined to put out a weekly newsletter.
Hmm.
And so, what I'm going to do is do a small um, monologue podcast called 500 Words on dot, dot,
Hmm.
dot. And it's just going to be an essay, me writing 500 words and me then recording them about things I just love. And I'm going to post that. That is going to be a weekly post on my newsletter because I need to practice. Well, I need to practice talking, I
Hmm.
need to practice writing the newsletter. And I want a monologue podcast. So that's that's another thing we're going to be doing for accountability. I'm going to
Hmm.
tell you about what my 500 words were on.
I am excited to hear that because I mean, I am pretty consistent with my newsletter, but it only comes out once a month.
Right.
I have 118 people,
Nice.
and I have a 54% open rate, which I think is highish.
It is high.
So, the people that are on there seem to like it.
Hmm.
Um, I am struggling with reach and with finding new people to add.
Right.
Because I've been doing the newsletter for a while now, and it's growing, but it's growing like real. I don't know if I'm just being impatient or what, but
I
like,
I think it might be the fact that you are grabbing people who are sticking with you, and
mm-hmm,
that just may take a little longer.
yeah,
So don't sit up there. Well, actually, let me say it this way: cherish everybody who's coming through.
right,
Cherish everybody who's coming through because they are coming through to help you live your creative life,
mm-hmm,
right? And truly, we just need 1,000.
mm-hmm,
We just need 1,000. And so, if you can sit there and concentrate on that 1,000
mm-hmm,
and celebrate other folks when they got the 10 and 15,000, when they have these huge numbers,
mm-hmm,
because that's their journey, that's their path, that's their joy. And we want to celebrate joy where we can find it and let people enjoy things. But when we see our numbers are small, find joy in that as well.
mm-hmm.
Because the creative life is about finding joy in what you do it. not the business that don't pay you. That's what I would leave you with that. And
Man.
so, with that said, what do you want to be working on next week, Jeff?
Okay, so I need to finish the revision for the book.
Right.
I'm down to, I think, 4 chapters that need work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my main thing is I want to get that done.
Edit the next 2 episodes, the
And it's
next
the
three
next two
episodes.
episodes for sure. Yeah, I need to make up. Yeah, let me get caught up on the stuff I didn't do last week.
Okay. For me, I'm going to find this plugin for these uploads. Find an upload plugin, and then I'm going to make the graphic for episode 3 and 4 and 5, and I'm going to hit you up later on this week for names.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then what else? Oh, there is one big one next week. I have a big win. Yes.
What?
I have to submit my 4 decks of cards to the manufacturer. The playing cards for my Spoons or Stabby are going to a new manufacturer,
Mm-hmm.
as are the Essentialism Tarot, Essentialism Kipper, and Essentialism Lenormand cards.
Okay.
I'm going to be using a new manufacturer, and I promised her that I would have all of the art she needs in one file by July 10th. And I
Okay.
just received the art for the monsters. Yeah, I'm going to tempt fate and see if I can get 3 more illustrations done by him and on the
Mhm.
cards before the 10th. But I have a contingency planned on those. So it might be just that the monster cards. Here's my monster cards. They just don't have a graphic
Mhm.
on them because there's still a
Okay.
lot of information.
That is a lot of information.
These have a lot of information on them.
Is
So
the graphic going on underneath of the text, or are you going to rearrange the text to make it fit?
I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking I'll just make it like a half transparency
Mm-hmm.
and just do a background.
Okay.
It depends on whether or not he's able to do it, and if he isn't, then I'm just going to make a really nice Art Deco frame or box that I can put around him, have a dark
Mm-hmm.
background, set it to a
Okay.
half transparency, and keep it pushing.
Okay.
And I'll save the other ones for the version 2 of this game.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. But that's my big thing. Because once
Thing.
that's done, everything on the Sugar Level game side is going to be focused on Medusa's trucking.
Yeah.
And that's a big art project as well as a game. So,
That seems like. Yeah.
do you play TTRPGs?
I don't. Um,
Oh,
but I am interested.
would you like to be a member of a roller derby team?
Sure.
Because what we're doing with Medusa's trucking is that at its core, it is about road combat and helping the community taking hunts and bounties. But we're installing little mini games or little mini scenarios. One
Mm-hmm.
of them is the death race. And I don't know if you've been out in the West Coast, but the trip from Los Angeles to Vegas is about 4 hours long. And
Mm-hmm.
that's some dead man's land out there, right? I've
Okay.
driven it. Heather, my co-author, has driven it. She used to live out in Bakersfield. I have family in Riverside and Orange. And
Okay.
we've both driven that. And we're like, we need to do a death race. So we're going to build the rules for it for Medusa's trucking, but also make it its own game.
Oh, okay.
And the roller derby that we're going to be doing at the rest stops during Medusa's trucking, which is also a mini game, we're going to punch out and make its own game. And what Heather and I want to do is do a live play with several women, and we're all going to have our own cars, or our own cars or trucks with Medusa Trucking, and we're all going to have our own derby names and our skates and everything. And I actually want to play as the convoy for Medusa's Trucking, doing road battles, building up rest stops, playing roller derby. I think it's going to be great, and I'd like you
That
to
sounds
join
really fun.
us. So
I would love to. That sounds really fun.
I busted up my hip. True story. I inspired by, oh, what's his name? Elliot Page. And what was that roller derby game? A roller derby movie he was in. Whip It. Whip It.
Okay.
I really liked that movie. But it was during that time Elliot Page could do no wrong.
Oh, okay.
And so I decided I was going to try it because I've always wanted to do roller derby, and I was old. I'm old, so I remember when they used to have televised roller derby on Saturday nights or Sunday
Mhm.
nights with Miss Georgia Haas. She was the villain, and I loved her to death. I don't remember nobody else but her, boy. And so I decided to do roller derby, and I loved it over in Round Rock. Then I fell and busted my hip. I put a little small hairline fracture.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I couldn't sit right for a while. So I stopped doing it because I'm old. But I have full support of anybody who wants to do that because it's amazing. And the women and the men who do it are amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it in a way that doesn't break a hip.
Yes. Yes, please.
Yes, because I'm old. So I want you to start thinking about that as we get closer and closer
Me too.
to developing the characters. I'm going to do all the vehicles this week, and so I'll send you that to see if anything appeals.
Okay.
Because you need to have your vehicle, you need to have your derby name, and you're going to need your skates.
Okay.
And so think about that. So,
Okay.
what are you going to be doing
What am I gonna be doing?
this next
So
week?
I also got some art back.
Oh,
So I have um it's not finished, but so I have the color full color of the card that she made for me of Kate.
mhm.
So it's like three quarters of her body, and then it's on a like tarot background with it's really cool. And then she made a logo for Queens Creek that looks like a travel patch, and it's got like the gatehouse in the middle with a little bridge and the creek and the little will o' the wisp things that are on
Oh,
the creek and
yeah.
the moon in the sky, and it's nighttime and it's purple and green and I love it. So I want to try to figure out how to. I know how to make it into stickers, but I was thinking I might actually get it made into like embroidered patches as well.
Oh,
Um, but I don't know. So I started Googling to see like because I have
you
all
need
these
my
companies from when
manufacturer?
I huh?
You need my manufacturer?
You have a manufacturer that does embroidered stuff?
Yeah, for real, for real.
Yes, please.
Hold on a
Because
minute.
I already stole your pin guy, so
So yes,
yes. Okay, send me that.
um, yeah, I'll send that through to you.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
So I was gonna do that, and then I might also try to find somebody who can make the little hexen foils into charms for charm bracelets,
Hmm.
because I don't think that I can do that at the Science Museum.
Do they do lost wax casting?
I don't know.
Do
Because
they?
the maker studio has a lot, so it might just be I haven't asked the right questions yet.
Right. You might ask if they do lost wax casting, or if they do PMC clay,
PMs.
precious metal clay. If
Oh
they
yeah,
have kilns for PMC clay, because then you can make it with the clay itself and then fire it.
oh, yeah. I mean, I know they have a kiln, and they've been doing a lot more work with clay lately. I don't know. Yeah, okay, I'll ask them. It's PMC clay.
Uh huh. Precious
Okay,
metal clay.
precious. Okay. Cool. Thank you for that.
Not a problem.
This box is going to be jewelry heavy, I think, but I couldn't think
That's
of
not
anything else to put.
honestly. That's not bad. You get a chain and put the charms on there,
Yeah.
right? Or you can have different charms and yeah, It's going to be jewelry heavy. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm trying while I'm revising it to pull quotes for ads and then also look for things that are uh, merchandisable. Like, what can I turn into a thing?
So, one last thing. What are you loving this week?
I am so I have gotten obsessed with the New York Times Games app on my phone.
Oh,
Um, I am yeah. So I used to do. I would go in and do like the mini crossword before I went to bed as a like just chilling and getting ready to be like
right.
whatever, I'm going to sleep. And then I was looking in there and they also have like Wordle, and I know people were obsessed with that. So I started doing the mini crossword and then I do the Wordle. And then I discovered Connections, and that I like Connections a lot. Like I feel like that is the one game I have found so far that really like fits the way that my brain works. Like I'm always seeing the way things are connected. And I can usually do that one.
What is connections?
So Connections is a game where they give you this group of words. It's a 4x4 block of words, and you're trying to create four groups of four.
Mm.
And they're just like random, and you have to figure out what these words have in common and categorize them into four separate categories. And they're different levels of complexity. So like one group is going to be really obvious things, and it's going to be like
Baseball.
they're all foods, or they're
Right.
all something like that. And then they get slightly more complex as you go through. So
Right.
usually I get the first two pretty quickly. I think a little bit harder, and I get the third one, and then the fourth one is whatever's left. So that one's really fun.
This week has been a video game week for me. Thing that I'm loving is Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Earth Tree,
Okay.
which is very difficult, and it's additionally difficult being that there are room fragments that you have to get within the game. These little
Okay.
bits that you have to get within the DLC, and that's the only way you can get stronger for the increased difficulty of these creatures in the DLC. It's the only way you can get stronger because I have
What is DLC?
downloadable content.
Okay.
Think if it is an add-on or a after they've released the major game,
Okay.
they're going to open up a new area or a new set of missions or something like that. And in some cases, like the God of War Ragnarok, its DLC was an entire game, which was a roguelike, was him going through Valhalla.
Oh.
Absolutely wonderful.
So
Love it. Um,
it's kind of a spin-off, sort of.
it's a spin-off story.
It's like extra.
Yeah, it's extra
Okay.
spin-off stories. Just like we wrote a book and then we dropped a novella about a side character and
Oh,
their
okay.
stuff. That's what a
Hmm.
DLC is.
Oh, okay.
And for Elden Ring, it is referred to as a Souls game. That name's coming from Software. It's the folks who made it first release, Dark Souls.
Okay.
And that in and of itself, Dark Souls was a spiritual predecessor to games like Ninja Gaiden, which were absolutely known for being difficult and
Mm.
not, oh, the guy has a lot of hit points. No, the guy is smart.
Mm.
And so, whereas a normal boss in a normal game may not block, may not know how to move out its way, these things here in these
Hmm.
games, they hunt you down. They block. They parry you. They will heal themselves. I had one dude, I was going up a castle, and I think it was Khaled. I sit there and knocked his behind down and made my way up. Don't you know that son of a gun followed me all the way up there and just then proceeded to end my ass? I was so mad. I was so angry because he went up flights of stairs after me.
Oh my god.
All right, so it's very hard, and it's even as difficult. It has difficulties, but it's known for being hard.
Hmm.
Elden Ring is their first open. I keep going to call it open air. It's a sandbox game,
Okay.
like your GTA's and what have you. So there
Hmm.
isn't a linear. Someone right now is yelling the phrase I need, and I thank you. But it's not a linear storyline. It has an overarching storyline. You go to the overworld and you play the game the way you want to.
Okay.
And so this DLC is an additional area that has additional lore that finishes a very interesting part of the story. And I've been loving it. I've had to make some adjustments because I have a major strength build. I really like high defense
Hmm.
and high dex. I want to be able to take a lot of hits. I want to be able to recover my HP, and I want to be able to hit fast because I'm not a twitchy person. So I can't be doing a whole bunch of ducking and dodging because I'm old. But what I will do is take a punch and keep on swinging while your HP bar goes down, 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 down. Poof, you're dead. That's one thing I'm loving. The other thing I'm loving is another video game, which is Advance Wars. I did not know um, Advance Wars rebooted a couple of years ago. Advance Wars, for those of you not familiar, it is a really cute real time strategy or RS game, RTS game. It looks very cartoony, but very difficult. And so they rebooted the first and the second game. And I found out yesterday because a friend of mine told me, hey, I'm trying to build this game that looks like Advance Wars. I was like, dude, that's something I haven't heard from in a while. Googled it, and here we are. So it's more of a nostalgia than anything else. I
Hmm.
remember, okay, what's an airport? That's one of the iconic lines in that game. What's an airport? Oh boy, Andy, you're so dumb. But I'm liking my video games, and I'm still liking Torque, and I'm going to talk about Torque every week.
Well,
But
I mean, you have to because you're using it for the other game, right? So you
right,
should be focused on that one.
yes, I'm using it for the other game, and it has so many practical applications. I'm ecstatic. I cannot sing its praises enough.
I love how excited you are about it.
Yeah, it's really made me happy.